late. Thanks for that, Christian. I appreciate that. Let me hit got it. So the starting point, of course, is to welcome you all to this meeting. This meeting has two objectives. One is to give you some information about what happened in the summer of 2021, and then also to give you some information about what we're trying for the summer of 2022. We'll start with what happened in this past summer and what the current status of administrative operations are, at least from my perspective and the work I'm doing. So what I'm currently trying to do is I'm trying to wrap up all of the accounts and the purchase orders that were issued for all of the program operators that participated in the summer of 2021's internship program. Thank you again very much for putting together such a spectacular program on such short notice last summer. The numbers far exceeded my expectations overall, and the reception of the program, I would say unilaterally across all parts of the state, was positive, extremely well received by our constituents, and as well as by people that are working either in a government capacity, and because they were received very warmly by their constituency. So we had good feeling, a good experience with this the first time around. Not to say that there weren't some bumps, that there weren't some hiccups, but that's to be expected with any operation. So that said, we're really looking to try to do better for the summer of 2022 in terms of the overall reach, how many students we can actually get to participate. So before I get too far ahead of myself, I'd like to turn it over to Jennifer from the Community Learning Network, and she'll go ahead and tell you kind of what she was able to make a determination on the overall program from 2021 and the numbers that were generated. Jennifer, you have the floor.
Great. I'm just going to share screen, so hopefully everyone can see this. We're going to just give you a quick intro to last year, as Mark said. First, hello everybody. My name's Jennifer Navarez. I work with a nonprofit called Community Learning Network. It's a long name and we're kind of a giant squash plant, but I am a certificated educator and I love real life learning. So we were involved this past year on documenting and tracking some of this and also running a survey. Just to quickly walk you through some of those results from last year, we had 26 counties and tribes plus Help New Mexico involved in the process. You can see some of them listed here. These were scattered all over the state, and this map is available on the website nminterns.com. We'll post it in the chat at the end of this quick presentation. We did find more than 1,300 students participated as paid interns, and we did create relationships with far more actually than 300 community partners. There were so many, it was hard to actually track them all. And extra special kudos to Doña Ana County for exceptional outreach and engagement, not just with the county and city offices, but with lots of businesses and agencies throughout their community. We did create a survey for interns to take. And what we did find from that feedback, which is also for folks like me who are big fans of real life learning, not surprising, that the majority of interns that participated last summer did report improvements in their work ethic, their sense of teamwork, problem solving skills, communication, organization, and their level of confidence, which is really important. The majority of the interns reported feeling more connected to their community, more prepared to succeed in a job, more interested in higher education, and more positive about their future. We also created a report that may be circulating around the legislature right now. I'm not sure where it all ends up, but it is available and accessible online at the website we'll post at the end. And that goes over some of the things we just talked about, the number of interns, the partnerships, the counties, the tribes, and just acknowledging that it was a historic opportunity and amazing. Kudos to everyone that participated, because with a short window of time to pull this off, managing interns and coordinating that kind of real life learning, it takes a lot. So there is a report available. There's an infographic with some of the things you've already seen. We did create social media posts, and some of those have already appeared on the PED website, social media sites. And the website is here if you want to jot it down, www.nminterns.com. On that website, you'll see a range of things available. And I just want to highlight that some of the counties have been very helpful in gathering content to post there in the past. You can see, you can see here, we were just showing some of the counties that are highlighted. If you did participate and you have content you'd like to share, this is always a work in progress, and we are happy to continue to add to it. And for next year, we'd just like to plant the seed that we would love to showcase and highlight your communities, tell your stories, acknowledge those adults and professionals that are taking part in sort of mentoring or supervising and facilitating interns, but also the people within the counties and government that make these kinds of things happen. So there is a place to acknowledge interns and let them tell their stories as well. So you'll see a collection of various things here on the site. There's even a page where we're gathering all the press that's happened across the state. Again, if something's missing or we need to add to it, please let us know. I didn't pull up the live website today. I don't know if you want me to do that, Mark, but if you have photos, videos, press, or stories, you can always send it to Mark or Christian, but here's my direct contact info. And you're welcome to reach out, and we will love to bother you next summer to gather more. And I think that may be your info, Mark, they all have already, but I did add it to the slide deck. Do you want me to pull up the live site, or are we good?
Go ahead. We have I think a little bit of time, so go ahead and demo your very, very attractive site, Jennifer.
Okay. Hang on one second. Let's see if Zoom and the web can work simultaneously. We'll give you all a second to jot that down. It looks like we are coming up to NM interns. Let's see if it'll let us search the web and Zoom at the same time. Yes, this is great. Again, it's sometimes difficult working with students who are under 18 to get clearance for photos and videos. So if you or your community have that, please feel free to share them with us if that's permissible. And our site, the homepage, basically just gives a quick overview. And it does have the searchable, sorry about that, I'll give you a headache. The searchable map, which shows different counties that were participating. Again, you can click on those and get the contact info. We did also want to say thanks to the state personnel office, who arranged a series of lunchtime meetups with professionals. There were interns here that got to meet the lieutenant governor and other significant folks throughout the state employment pool, and they were meeting regularly throughout the summer. So that was a great resource that happened last year. Hopefully they'll do it again. And I'm going to scroll back to the top just to take us on a quick walkabout. The program, again, an overview with all of the communities and organizations that participated. Key contacts are there for last year. Mark's contact info again is here if you need to reach out to him. The partner stories we were highlighting, I did just want to share a few. Special thanks and amazing efforts going on all across the state. Some of our partners were showcasing the interns themselves, shared with us some of the flyers they made in their own community for projects their interns were doing. There were all kinds of things happening statewide. We'll walk you through a few of those because it was pretty cool. let's see, Santa Fe County, just to give you guys a quick shout out to Opportunity Santa Fe, the county, Earth Care, STEM Santa Fe. I saw you on the call, Lena. Lots of folks were online. And again, we do have some videos that were created or submitted by either the partner, the community sites, or the students that were participating. Here's a screenshot of their Zoom call and some highlights or quotes from students. These pages really shape based on what we can gather from the communities. And we'll just highlight one more. Bernalillo County's program had a lot of social media posts and some links to their own web pages. So we're trying to archive and tell the story here. So you can poke around, and we'll just take one more and share Doña Ana County too, since they do get the Overachievers or Super Achiever Award. And I did want to acknowledge they had literally hundreds of interns that they placed in many or all of these and even more sites. Some of their interns worked on PSAs, and here are the actual video PSAs that those students created. They were on the radio, just lots of great stuff going on. So I will just say that some of those community projects, you'll find a few highlights again here. The students worked on a website for Rio Arriba, some really cool stuff in Colfax County, built their social media. So poke around. And again, if you did participate last year and you have things that we should highlight, please let us know. We did include a few highlights from the students and the partner surveys that happened. Those are online right now. They're not always up and available to the public, but they are turned on for now. And we did also include all the social media posts that were available, some of which have already been posted. The bookmarks, the report is all online. And again, as I had mentioned, we were tracking all of the press. So if you were involved last summer and there's press that you know of that didn't make it to this page, please let us know. We do have some TV spots and interviews, and of course, the CTE newsletter and the article about the program. It's all in one place. And I think that's the bulk of our quick tour. But thanks to everyone that helped us gather and participated. It's always a super blessing to see young people learning real life skills and out in the real world. So thanks so much for everybody's effort to pull this off. And like a lot of people were working on short notice and working under the conditions of COVID and pandemic protocols, which of course makes things 10,000 times more complicated. So anyway, that was my quick, super fast review. I'll turn it back over to you, Mark, unless there's anything else you want to revisit.
Just if anybody has any questions for you, Jennifer, they are welcome to unmute and ask in the forum, or they can put them into chat. Okay, so I'm not going to sit and wait in silence, but if you do, just feel free to break in. So thank you for that report out, Jennifer. Again, I think everybody in my upline has been very pleased with your work. Your documents actually went to our Deputy Secretary, Gwendolyn Perea-Warnament. Dr. Perea-Warnament was very impressed with the work and with the overall output. So it's good. It's good all around. Thank you again, all of you that have operated programs this past summer. I really, really do appreciate your efforts, your patience, your diligence, and just basically your grit in doing what seemed to be a near impossible task. Hopefully this particular summer coming up in June of 2022 will not be so pressured and so urgent in terms of our abilities to roll this out in a more just a better project management approach. So first, let me kind of put the closing remarks on where we're at with the program from 2021. All of the monies that are being leveraged for support of our interns, paid internships, come from federal monies that are known as ARP monies, but specifically ESSER 3 monies. So the ARP is like the American Recovery Program, I think. And then ESSER is Elementary and Secondary School Emergency Relief. So this pool of funds was given to the state of New Mexico as the pass-through from the federal government. And these monies are not set to expire until September 30th, the end of every federal fiscal year of 2024. So I don't know how many dips we can make into this pool, but you may recall, if you were involved in any of the conversations and thought partnering that occurred earlier in the year, last year, March, April timeframe, before we got the green light on this, we were allocated $9.8 million from these ESSER 3 monies in order to support this particular initiative known as the Summer Enrichment Internship Program. So in year one, I'm going to just refer to the spreadsheet that I have available to me, which is as of January 22nd of this year. We are currently looking at having expended to that time, January 22nd, and this number did go up now because I received an invoice today that I'm processing for over 100,000. But anyway, we are about $2.3 million expended against the 9.8 overall. The planning budget for the program for FY22, which is summer of 21, beginning July 1st, right? I don't mean to confuse anybody, but our state fiscal years operate on a July 1 to June 30th cycle. Federal government goes October 1st to September 30th of each year. So anyway, we had a planning budget of $4.2 million, and we only expended approximately to date about 2.3 million, which means that we've got an additional roughly 1.7 and some change million available to go back in to the monies available for FY23, which will be this summer's program, summer of 22. So if we add that back in, then we only used about half of 9.8 million, then we have a lot of money that is still available to expand on the total number of student interns served for this forthcoming summer. So while we did just around 1,300 interns for the summer of 21, I don't see any reason, at least from a financial point of view, that we wouldn't be able to go over 2,000 interns if we can get more government entities involved and subsequently business partners involved in this summer's program. So I am currently in the process of rectifying the summer of 21's accounts. Along with that, I'm closing out purchase orders that were open from this past summer, assuming that everybody's been paid. I will report out transparently that I did somehow fell through the cracks a third invoicing to Doña Ana County that was just recently moved through our administrative services division for payment. So that's something that we are also going to add to that, to the how much was expended. In addition, Santa Fe County now has finally invoiced, and that's good. And then I've got two operators, tribal operators, the Okeowinge Pueblo and the Pueblo of Pewaukee, who I have made numerous attempts to reach out to the people I have had listed as my contacts, and I've been unable to make any successful contact with either of those two tribal entities. To date, they have not invoiced for any expenditures they may have made for the program. And I just casually ask for your assistance that if you know of anybody at either of those two tribes, to please have them reach out to me. I will make one last attempt to reach their executive administration before closing their purchase orders. And if they did expend any monies, then unfortunately we won't be able to reimburse them once the purchase order closes. The reason why we have to close the purchase orders from FY22 is to be able to move that money back into the account so that we have more money available to fund summer of 2022 and possibly the summer of 2023 and maybe even the summer of 2024 as well. I will get more information on those additional funding opportunities going forward. But right now, we definitely know we're on for the summer of 2022. And that, again, I am just looking to close open IGAs, intergovernmental agreements, professional service contracts, if that's the case, and purchase orders. Once that's done, then that's, again, more internal to the administration on the PED side. But in terms of what's more important, I suppose, and why you're probably on this call, is what are we doing in order to get everybody poised to be able to participate in summer of 2022? So let me give you kind of a quick overview. First off, who would be eligible as an operator? Well, after some exaggerated deliberation with my upline, it's been determined that we are going to stick with the current way that it was done this past year, which is that with only one exception, we wish to retain county administrations and tribal administrations as fiscal agents for this program for summer of 2022 as well. The one exception was Help New Mexico Incorporated, which did a remarkable job across many counties. They provided internships across, I believe, as many as 7 counties in New Mexico, some of which we would not have been able to reach without their spectacular work. So kudos to Help New Mexico for their performance this past summer. And we look for their engagement again for this forthcoming summer. We may also, though, be able to get the counties that could not join us last time that Help New Mexico was able to reach. This time, we will make outreach to them again and see if we can get them in very early on the program. So the first steps that we're going to make are twofold. Number one is, since you're on this call, it means that you will be on the listserv of emails that we send out by way of broadcast messaging about this program. If there's anybody that you know that should be included, that tells you that they didn't get the email or they weren't on the list, feel free to send over their email contact to me and we will add them to the list. But anyway, the first step of 2 is going to be that I'm going to put out a request for application that will be posted on the New Mexico Public Education Department webpage, which is referred to as RFPs, RFAs, RFIs, requests for proposal, requests for application, requests for information. And so there will be the start from scratch application that will be posted there in the next week or 2. So let's just say that by the week of Valentine's Day, Monday is February 14th, that week, by what that would be the 18th, that RFA, request for application, will be published and available for download from the NMPED site, titled, again, I don't remember the order, but it's either RFPs, RFAs, RFIs, or some other configuration. The second step in this is that I will send out a kind of a survey, a more casual approach to finding out from all of the people on our listserv who intends to, at the county and tribal level, or if there is a specific non-for-profit that's interested in becoming a fiscal agent. Again, we worked with Help New Mexico, that they let us know informally. Yes, we would love to participate in this if you deem us to be eligible as a program operator. Definitely tribal government and county governments are in. All you have to do is ask to be included and we will get you in. For non-for-profit organizations, there will be a more scrutinous rubric that we will use in order to determine whether we can include you as a fiscal agent to administer a program, and that will be determined on a case-by-case basis. If you have, as a county, tribe, or non-for-profit, successfully administered this program for the summer of 2021, you're given a certain special consideration, which means that you do not have to fill out the start from scratch application that will be posted on the NMPED website. You do not have to complete that application. Rather, the only step you will need to complete will be to revisit your 2021 budget and then just make changes to that budget based on what you can anticipate that you can do for 2022. So you only need then to submit a new budget for this forthcoming summer to us based upon your interest in running the internship program again for the summer of 2022. As in 21, we anticipate the launch date to be on or around the middle of June of 2022. I'm going to pull up the calendar really quickly so that I can give a kind of a guide date. So Monday, June 13th is approximately the go date for when we would want internships to begin. So that again, if it's to be a, I'm drawing a blank on how many weeks of internship we funded last year. I want to say 10, but I could be wrong on that. But anyway, whatever the full time is we want it to fall between June and terminate by August, if possible. We did grant extensions into September for some of the program operators. That again was on a case-by-case basis. But anyway, so our roughly green light go date is Monday, June 13th to begin the internships, if at all possible. If it were to begin the following week, June 20th, Monday, that would be acceptable as well. But that's roughly the time frame we're looking to launch by. So then again, leading up to that, we need to have a budget available from you. You can send that directly to me. If again, you have successfully operated a program previously, just send a new budget in whatever tool that you feel is most appropriate for documenting a budget. If that's Microsoft Excel, that's perfectly acceptable. If it's a Google spreadsheet application, that's acceptable as well. And if you have other tools, and if I hit a problem where I can't open it or I can't see it, I'll let you know again on an individual basis. And if you have a different tool that your organization uses. So that's the kind of the ground rules for how we're going to move in 2022. On a paperwork point of view, let me revisit that really quickly. I am going to, once I know the interest, I'm going to have to go and create new intergovernmental agreements that will be running from the time of signature through to June 30th of 2023. If I can create an open IGA so that we don't have to go through this again if we run summer of 2023, that we have to close down IGAs only to reopen them again for a 1-year period. If I can get an roughly open-ended IGA that runs through, let's say, September 30th of 2024 when these funds expire, I will definitely try to do so to reduce the administrative overhead involved in keeping our program going from summer to summer for as long as we have funding. So I'll let you know about that as we get to that. Then on the basis of once the IGA has been completed and signed off by both our newly approved, legislature approved, authorized Secretary of Education, Dr. Steinhaus, once he signs off on them, after he's gotten the signed IGA back from the county or tribe, then we move towards moving the IGA to our Administrative Services Division to generate purchase orders for the agreed upon budgeted amounts that were approved through this process of, again, a combination of you submitting a budget or an application and a budget if you're new to this program, and then moving to the IGA, because the total financed amount is in the intergovernmental agreement or professional services contract as may be appropriate for our non-for-profit applicants. And then that turns into a purchase order, which then means that you can be reimbursed for program expenditures. Regarding advancing funding, as we did in the summer of 2021, I'd very much like to treat that on a case-by-case basis. If you determine in the generation of your budget that cash flow is going to be an issue for your organization, then you have to let me know that we would like to receive a advance on the funding And we should be able to move through as we did for summer of 2021 in providing up to a 50% advance on the total budget requested for program operation. Okay, let me take pause there because I need a drink. Are there any questions about anything I've said so far about how we're going to roll this out for summer of 2022?
Mark.
Okay, let me call, I think LaShawna, was that you that asked?
Yeah, that's me. Thank
Yeah,
you. I just put in the chat. Yes, thank you for hosting this meeting. I just wanted to let you know that I'm happy to assist with any tribal communities, especially those that you mentioned that have not requested for reimbursement. If we could set up a separate meeting so we can discuss the logistics and start getting that arranged. Happy to help.
If you would, Dr. So, I'm going to be organizing a meeting. I spoke to Denise Thomas of the Navajo Nation's education program. I spoke to her about bringing together what would now be, with your being able to join us, 4 people, myself, Denise, yourself, Secretary So, and also somebody else who's, I'm sorry, I just don't have their name in my brain, but somebody who I had email connection with, who is also possibly able to assist. So I'll have a meeting scheduled for, I hope next week, or at the latest, the early the following week.
Perfect. All right, happy to help. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that offer.
Mark,
Yes, County Manager Macias.
thank you and good afternoon, and thank you for hosting, and hello to everybody that's participating. I'm Fernando Macias and I'm the County Manager for Doña Ana County. Just a few quick observations, and I apologize if somehow I might have missed any of this. I'd like to recommend that we begin the internship program earlier than the 13th of June, so that there's an easy transition from the end of school into the positions. We found that 2-3 week gap, students had already made commitments to other jobs, and they would have liked to have had this option much earlier. So as far as I'm concerned, a really quality and expansive program will have students placed before the last day of school. Just for, again, all of this is just for you to consider. I really want to encourage you to up the hourly wage. I don't know if you spoke about that. I think last summer it was $10.50. I would suggest that you go to a bare minimum of $12. We were finding it difficult to bring some students on because they were already committed to even fast food restaurants that were paying them substantially more than the $10.50. So if you can go, and you know the pressure that different governments here in Las Cruces, they've adopted the 15-hour wage level. And of course, that's for government employees. But I still want to encourage you to think about how high the hourly salary can go and still stay within your budget. I'd like to encourage being able to bring on a coordinator much earlier in the process. In Doña Ana County, under that limited time frame, we were able to identify 183 different placements, but it took a great effort. And I believe that some of the quality of the placements could have been improved upon if we would have had more time to do outreach. I'd like for you to consider the issues of PPE, vaccination, booster shots, all of those kind of issues that are going to be a prerequisite to some of the quality placements, especially the medical site placements, are going to want to make sure that students are, the ones that are placed there are vaccinated, that they have all of the PPE that they need. And then I think just as a last question, have you already determined the number of slots per county or tribe that you feel that you will allot? Because where Doña Ana County reached the 560, although our goal was 620, I think that with even more organization or preparation and lead time, we could exceed that number. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Judge Macias. I really, really appreciate that feedback and input. I suggested the June 13th on the basis of the fact that I thought that's what was best, not knowing from your boots on the ground perspective that an earlier date would be better. What we can do is that in the context of this meeting, we can definitely start early. You can start earlier than June 13th. If logistically it makes more sense to do so. And I don't think we really need to bring it up for discussion. One of the things that's a feature of NMPED's work with our field, with our local educational agencies throughout the state, is known as local control. Keeping with the spirit of that operation methodology, I'd very much like to continue that through this program. So that will definitely filter my response to the other points you brought up, Judge Macias. So yes, feel free to start before June 13th. Regarding the hourly wage, let me handle that before I continue on in the vein of again, local control. But regarding minimum wage, so I brought this up with Dr. Elaine Perea, my immediate supervisor, last year. And her response to that was that we're not looking to compete against local employers for available youth labor. Rather, that we wanted to keep the internship wages lower, specifically to avoid any perception on the part of small businesses, especially, that the government was coming in with blinders on and just stealing the labor pool in order to support a government initiative. So that was the original sort of thinking as to why $10.50, the state minimum wage, was what was offered. In bumping it to something like $12, when in fact the national dialogue is talking about on a federal level a $15 minimum wage, I don't think is unreasonable. And to my knowledge, a lot of the local labor pools minimum wages that even McDonald's, I saw signs up last year where McDonald's was hiring at $15 an hour for Santa Fe, which of course has a higher minimum wage, $12.34 to begin with. So let me run that up my side in the upline and see if $12 is an acceptable base for all of these internship slots, regardless of what the location will bear. Again, knowing that Santa Fe will be higher than 12 anyway, but that in other places where the county has not made a higher minimum wage, that $12 will be the floor. I'll come back to everybody that's on this call via email with a broadcast email about that issue.
And Mark, if I could just make one last comment related to that, the minimum wage. Remember that we're placing some of these students back into the businesses that may be on their own willing to pay higher, but just cannot find individuals to fill the slot. So
that's a great counterpoint.
That's why I said at least $12, because I think that that's fair. It's still under market, but we were able to come to the assistance of many businesses in the community that normally wouldn't have attracted in personnel to fill the slots that they needed. So I don't think that the local community ever looked at it as somehow competing against them. They seem to be exceedingly grateful that there were placements available for them.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Does anybody else have any point of view or comment that they would wish to contribute to this dialogue? I will definitely fall on your side of this argument, Judge, and I will definitely speak to Dr. Perea about in as persuasive a manner as I can, and then possibly leverage you into this discussion if needed, because I want to be respectful of your time commitments as well. But does anybody else have anything that they wish to contribute by way of adding on, or even just saying, yeah, he's got it right there, that man down in Doña County, let's get this wage up a little bit.
Mark.
Yes, Teresa. Hi, Teresa.
Hi, Mark. So thank you. I just want to echo what Judge Macias says, because we ran into the same issue, especially in some of our smaller communities where they were taking that job that was the $15 an hour at McDonald's to just be a laborer, because we saw that our adult workforce was not taking those jobs anymore, right? So we know that the market is high demand. We also understand that the word internship means that we want them to take away more than the value of the cash. But in our rural communities, some of these youth are really providing for their families. So I just want to echo what he said, and I appreciate that. And I was also wondering if the hours were going to be increased this year. I don't know if I missed that somewhere along the line, because we did see that some of them were participating in our program and then they were going to a McDonald's job, right? So, and the businesses did say that they did have the capacity to keep them for more hours, but I know we kind of struggled with that as well.
Yeah, that's something that I will have to also get, and I can get answers to both of these issues by next Tuesday. The issue with that is going to be how quickly do we wish to spend or obligate the funds? Because if they don't foresee, they meaning the upline, Elaine, Dr. Perea-Warnement, and even Secretary Steinhaus, if they don't see this running summer of 23, summer of 24, then why don't we try to just again increase the commitment this summer and expend more of the money? Because I definitely know the goal is to get money out the door. And if that's the primary goal versus a secondary goal, then yeah, then let me ask about that. I'm going to make a quick note here. Are there anybody else have comments about this particular topic of minimum wage or the total hourly number of hours or weeks of commitment for these internship opportunities? Okay. Well, let me just finish up my notes so that I don't blow this with Elaine. Okay. Well, thank you, Teresa, for that add-in comment, and thank you again for considering this this program and getting into this forthcoming summer. So to continue on to Judge Macias's list, bringing on coordinators much earlier in the process, absolutely. Local control. Generate your budget based upon your timeframes. If you're going to have a coordinator on, say, even for an additional week or two, in order to support a more robust outreach effort to get students involved, then just build that into your budget. And then I will be looking over your budgets in detail as we give you the final green light and say, yeah, this looks great. Go ahead, get it underway. So there's no problem with bringing coordinators on earlier. Regarding the total number of interns, yes, that's in your hands. If you had requested, say 300 interns for summer of 21, but you only obtained 154, and then you go ahead and bump your application up to where you're saying you're going to do 1,000, I'm going to probably push back and say, I don't know how realistic that is. But in all other circumstances, as long as the numbers look good, you were able to place, 75 interns, and this year you're asking for 150. That's certainly, reasonable. In the case of your situation in Doña Ana County, same thing. Whatever you do by way of raising the request for funding via the total number of interns you hope to place, as long as it's not just fantastic, then yeah, there'll be no problem in getting that approved. And then lastly, I'm a little unclear, but when you brought up about personal protective equipment, vaccination status, were you concerned primarily about whether the program should be able to make appropriation for funding those kinds of expenditures? Or were you just speaking more broadly to the logistical concerns of having to sort of build in some ability to monitor which students have received vaccinations plus boosters and have the necessary N95 masks or whatever?
All right, I think it's a little bit of both, but it's more to the broader level that for what we discovered, any kind of daycare operation, placements at any of our medical facilities here in Doña Ana County, we lost time because all of a sudden there was issues that we had to address, including giving guarantees of liability coverage for the students. That's why all of the students became Doña Ana County employees, so that our insurance would cover them, or liability insurance would cover them. That is really what facilitated the placement. But we did have some back and forth about if there was monies to be able to cover any kind of testing requirements, anything like that. I just wanted to make sure that we were open to having a little bit of a discussion based on our experiences, because it did hang up some of the placements. We lost even, and under those circumstances, and I think, Mark, for some reason, I remember it being a no more than eight week internship. So if we can actually go to 10, and more importantly, if we can transition many of these students in the same placements to programs within the schools that are going to be organized or focused in on internships for students during the school year, we could accomplish quite a bit if we can just have a seamless transition from the summer internship program into a fall similar placement of students, but under the supervision of the school districts.
Okay, well, thank you for that last remark, Judge Macias, because ultimately that's a great segue into the next part of the agenda that I wanted to move on. We are running out of time, and I do wish to hold to 3 o'clock. Yes.
Ann Black has a question.
Okay, Ann, go ahead.
Hey, Mark. I was wondering, in terms of grantees, are you considering any LEAs or institutions of higher education?
Not as fiscal agents, no. We don't wish for them to become program operators by their own fiscal authority. We'd rather continue forward with the fiscal authority of governments, county and tribal, primarily with again, some rare exceptions, Help New Mexico, as has been mentioned.
And my second question is, and this may be for Jennifer as well, or, hearing everyone's great successes, are you looking to do some professional development for the new coordinators about best practices, lessons learned from last year, so folks don't have to reinvent the proverbial wheel?
Yes, the professional development will be made available by the same vendor providers that we utilized last year, specifically the personage of Jose Villarreal and Mike May, and their respective, as members of their respective organizations. Jose is transitioning from Farmington Municipal Schools to Santa Fe Public Schools. Mike May remains with Future Focused Education Incorporated. So yes, they will be providing professional development. They will likely include lessons learned, as they have been privy to some of the feedback we received from our coordinators. So yes, Ann, that will be visited in this coming one as well, and it probably earlier. So we might be launching those coordinator trainings instead of in the first week of June, like last year. We'll probably be into those maybe in the April timeframe this year, and get ahead of the curve now that we know that that there's an interest in starting right on the heels of school or at the end of school, which will be, of course, in mid-May. Any other questions?
And
Yes.
I had one final question, and so if businesses want to get involved, or other organizations, how do they connect? Is it through Jennifer? Is it through the website you shared?
No. If businesses are interested in becoming partners to the program, then what they would do is contact. Well, they could contact me, and I will direct them, as I did just a few minutes before this call started. Somebody from Torrance County, New Mexico, came out to me via email asking about how do they get their student involved, and I said reach out to in the case of Torrance County, the Human Resource Director, Kristen Oliver, and that she will be able to help them get onto the internship list. So it would be the same across the entire state. You can reach out to your county or tribal administrative office directly, or you can come through me or anybody on my team. All of our emails are readily available on our PED website for the College and Career Readiness Bureau. Christian, Denise, Rebecca Cisneros too, her email address was made readily available last year.
Thank you.
Mark,
You're welcome.
I will
Yes.
add though, Anne, I will add that on the map on the homepage on the website are the coordinators for most of the counties that participated last year. And again, those are the people that were there last year. The pandemic has turned things upside down, so sometimes people are no longer in their current job, but we'll update that map for 2022. But for now, if you were wanting to take an intern and the county coordinator is listed there, that's another way. Just reach out to them to say, like, I would love to partner as a placement, a mentor, whatever. So, but they are listed for most of the counties, not all.
Thank you for that add-on, Jennifer. Any other questions before I kind of bring us to a close here?
Hi, Mark. I have one
Hi,
question.
Rosemary. Yes, please.
So we had one intern who couldn't continue due to health reasons. Unfortunately, we weren't able to place anybody due to, I think, recommendations from you last summer. Are we going to be able to do that again if something should happen? I mean,
Tell me more about what you're asking, because I'm not
Okay,
following.
So one of the interns, he started, worked a couple days.
And then couldn't
but
continue.
Yeah, he couldn't continue, so we weren't able to replace him.
Okay. So you're asking about whether he can do internship this summer?
Just in the event that it should happen or something like that should happen again, are we going to be able to replace them with someone else?
You know, it's very much of a case-by-case evaluation. Like, for instance, let's say that an intern completed, if we do get 10 weeks this year, let's say they completed 8 of 10 weeks, but they can't complete the following 2 weeks. I would not recommend bringing somebody else in place of that person. If it were a matter of in the first week of internship that the student had to fall away, then yes, that slot could be easily filled by somebody else, especially if your slots are in demand. You know, if you've gotten more students interested than you have requested financing or, you know, budget for, then by all means you can definitely replace people that have to drop out for whatever reasons of you know, health or family commitments. Does that
Okay,
answer your question?
That answers it.
Good. Thank you for that, Rosemary. Okay, yes, Dr. Lena Herman. You're on mute.
Hi, thank you.
There
Yeah,
you go.
not anymore. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. So we had 2 summer interns that were excellent last summer, and they came to us through Santa Fe County, but really through Opportunity Santa Fe and the Community Foundation that did most of the liaison. So
Yes.
I'm not exactly sure how we'll operate this year, how you want to do this, but mostly my question is, how do the students apply to be interns? That was a little bit of a mystery last year. And
Yeah,
I work a lot directly with a lot of high schoolers, and they're already starting to ask about summer internships. So the sooner
Okay,
they can have
great.
them apply, the better. And some of them,
So,
and I also want to echo that I prefer to have intern, you know, end of May, beginning of June, because
Okay.
we're in the middle of our summer camps by June 13.
Very good. Well, I thank you for that input. And regarding the point of contact for the students, I would say that you should direct them towards the county also. If they, you know, look, it may seem bureaucratic, it may seem like unnecessarily cumbersome for the student to just, you know, go talk to this person. But the fact is that that represents employability skills too. And encouraging them to have to reach out and do the legwork to get to the right point of contact is a skill set that they're going to need at some point in their life, whether it be when they're 23, 27, 21, 19. So again, I would direct them towards county administration. More than likely, the human resource function would be the right place to direct students for getting involved in making it known that they wish to be on the list of interested applicants to become interns. That's the best place, I think, to direct students.
Yeah, I just urge that the county would set it up sooner rather than later, the application process and who the contact person is.
Yeah, well, I
also
would
wanna
say,
echo-
go ahead.
I also want to echo that, yeah, from a host, I guess we're the host
Or
perspective,
partner.
there are expenses. And in my case, the intern partner, in my case, the interns worked in our summer internship program, summer camps program, and I provide lunch to everybody. So I provided lunch to them too. And I had 2 interns, so that was okay. I absorbed that cost. However, at one point they were saying, do you want 10? And I said, well, 10, there's food. So the partner it'd be great if there's a way for the partner to be compensated for some expenses.
Right, so
And
there
that's
is.
all, but I don't
Yeah.
know if that's changing or not. That's
Yeah,
changing.
no,
Okay.
that's a great add-on, Lena. Alls I'd say is this, is that alls you have to do is if you're going to have contact as a partner with Santa Fe's county's administration, you remind them that you wish for them to build in budget specifically for food expenditures that you incurred and absorbed this last year, because monies are available for that type of expense as long as, again, it's reasonable. And the Santa Fe County administration, when they generate their budget for what they anticipate they're going to spend with their partners, they can just build that into budget. And there will be no pushback on my part as long as it's reasonable. Okay, any other comments, questions from anybody on the call? Okay, let me move towards shutting us down then. There's just a couple of essential informational points I wish to make. Number one, that I want you all to be aware that the research information on work-based learning opportunities on a national level, at least if not international, is very, very well established, very solid. All of the states are moving in the direction of recognizing the importance of work-based learning and the development of our youth towards enhancing their employability skills and making them hopefully avoid the so-called lost decade that many youth experience from the time they depart high school until the time that they either drop out or complete or just get lost in their college years, their post-secondary years. So with that being the case, the legislature that is currently in session is contemplating a New Mexico Public Education Department budget that includes a $5 million request for funding for work-based learning allocated out towards our local educational agencies. The term LEA is just a legal term designating both our districts as well as state authorized charter schools that take their charter from the Public Education Commission, okay, which works collaboratively with the Public Education Department, but the PEC is an authorizer for charters. Those charters that get their charter from PEC are known as LEAs. District charters, charter schools that derive their authorization from their local district are not considered their own LEA. Rather, the parent is considered the LEA. Anyway, we are going to possibly have funding to the tune of $5 million to begin to, let's just say, overlap this program, to Judge Macias's point earlier, with actually LEA-based work-based learning initiatives that would be planned on a launch for as early as fall of 2022, potentially, depending again on the planning and how quickly we can bring the administrative elements together. So anyway, so I wanted you to all be aware of that. We'll know about that by close of session, whether the budget was approved or specifically that line item was denied. So stay tuned for more information on that. Regarding student eligibility, I would point out that I have been since made aware that the legal working age in New Mexico is not 16, as I may have been saying, but rather it's age 14. However, there is provision in New Mexico law that if a student or a person is under age 16 and wishes to work, that a work permit and or certificate has to be completed by either the Department of Workforce Solutions or by an appropriately authorizing executive administrator at the school that the student attends. So that still is the guideline for eligibility. If you're trying to put a 14-year-old into an internship, that is legally possible, but still a work permit or certificate will have to be completed for that student. And then that's pretty much the information I wanted to convey. One last note on eligibility for students. It came up on more than one circumstance about whether we could take students older than the current cohort for graduation. So this summer, the cohort for graduation would be the cohort of 2022. Those graduates are eligible to still participate as interns. So if they just graduated in May of 2022 and they want to become an intern for the summer of 2022, they are eligible. If you wish to extend a courtesy back to a student who graduated in the cohort of 2021, you can do so at your own discretion as well. If you wish to bring in somebody that is 1 year older than high school age that graduated the year previous. If you're going back further to cohort of 2020, which is a pandemic cohort still, I would say, please just kind of bring me into the loop on that. But I think that that's also on the face of things acceptable, because again, what we're really trying to do is we're really trying to support New Mexico youth to not find themselves in abject poverty when they're supporting or have at least even just the demands and the pressures of supporting family members on their back at such a young age. So we want to be as open-armed as possible in eligibility. And again, just only in the most extreme cases should you probably come out and say, you know, I'm not sure about this, let me find out. Anyway, that's all the information I have. This group will be receiving broadcast emails about upcoming meetings. In place of thought partnering meetings that took place in March and April of 2021, I will be looking to assemble this group of people, probably by survey initially, as to try to find out what your needs for additional support are in launching a program or relaunching your program for this forthcoming summer, so that we'll be able to provide one-to-one technical assistance and support to you if you are requesting that type of support. And that's everything I've got. I thank you all for joining me on this call. This call has been recorded so that if you wish to listen to me again, then you're welcome to do so. I don't think I'm that captivating of a speaker, but yes, you can go back and if there's pieces of information from this that you want to revisit, I think you can even fast forward through it to get to what you want. So thank you all. Yes.
Mark, once the call ends, could I just have 2 minutes with you?
Absolutely. I actually hopefully have somebody else, Renee, hanging on too. But yes, absolutely.